What's up, guys? Welcome back to That Racing Cop YouTube channel. So today is day 3 of working on the Danger Ranger. So I've got a whole list of stuff left to do. We're going to see how far I get today. So last time I worked on it, I got the interior almost completely stripped out. I know it looks stripped. The reason I say it's not quite done is because I still have some AC components left in here. So I'm going to try to get the rest of those AC components out of here. And then I'm going to try to plug everything back up on the steering column and see if I can maybe get some zip ties or something, just enough to hang the steering column up in here, just enough to be able to drive it on and off the trailer. And then the interior is done. Nothing else to do in here until after I get the cage done. Next on my list today, after the interior is done, I'll be getting this bed liner out. So, oh, there goes my drill. Taking the rails off, getting the bed liner out, and then I'm going to work on some mechanical stuff today. I'm going to try to get all the AC components out, like I said, including the AC components under the hood here, blower motor, all that. Don't need any of that. And then I'm going to turn my attention to stuff like oil change, tune up, doing plugs. Also, antifreeze is not allowed, so I'm going to have to drain it. I got to be straight water. So I'm going to try to flush the system today, get the water in there, do all that. We'll see how far I get today. Alright, well, of course, the blower motor and AC system here looks like it's going to be fun to take out. I don't see many bolts from the side, so I'm guessing majority of the bolts are on the other side of the firewall. I see a couple like bolt heads on this side, so I'm guessing there's a stud on the other side, I assume. Let's go look. Alright, well, there was only 2 bolts on that side, on the engine side of the firewall, and I took those 2 bolts out, and the engine side of the AC system is loose, but this side of the AC system back here is still bolted in tight. So I'm just going to start pulling every one of these little like 7 or 8 millimeter screws I see all over the place out, and taking this thing out piece by piece until I can find where the main screws are holding it in. And if I still can't figure it out, then I guess I'll look up a video. I swear, I would be done so much faster if I didn't lose stuff every 2 seconds. I'm literally looking for a socket I just had 2 seconds ago. So, I just remembered a video I was actually watching a few days ago on Ranger interiors and how to remove the dashboard and heater core and all that fun stuff. And one of the videos, so there's actually a 3rd bolt for that down in the wheel well, because I got the 1, the 2, and there should be a 3rd one down here behind this wheel well. So just to make this a little easier, I'm going to jack it up and take the tire off. Don't know if I have to or not, but I'm going to just to make it easier. So I don't see the stud they mentioned is supposed to be down here, but did find a few other things. One, we'll need new brakes before the race. 1, the brake pads are pretty low, but 2, the rotors are pretty badly glazed and grooved as well. So I'm going to do front brakes before the race. And my gosh, look at the oil leak this thing's got. So that is why it was smoking. If you remember when I was driving it, it smokes pretty bad. So it's got a pretty bad oil leak over here, leaking right onto the exhaust manifold. You see the buildup of oil right there on the collector. So oil's dripping right onto the exhaust manifold, obviously while it's smoking, and you can see all the fluid down there on the ground. But as for the stud that I was looking down here for, I see one stud right here, but you can see it's coming through from the side, so the nut for that should be on the inside of the cab. There was supposed to be, I've seen a few videos that said that there was a third stud that holds all this right here in down here, like the nut side of it was down here behind the wheel well liner. I do not see one anywhere other than that one right there. So let me go inside the cab and see if I can find that one. I reckon that one though is probably, oh, it's probably that stud right there, but I looked at that earlier. There is nothing on there. So that's probably the stud, but it's just a stud to hold this heat shield stuff on there. Insulation. Not a stud actually holding the thing in. Or it's that stud there actually. Could very well be that stud right there. One of those two. But I've already taken the nut off that. Alright, so I'm still at a loss. Alright, I decided to try to look just a little bit harder from the top, and I finally see it. I found the third bolt, because I showed you earlier, there's one, there's two. The third one, don't know if you can see it, there's a third bolt right down there. Now that I see the third bolt, I don't know if it's going to be easier to reach from the top or the bottom, but it's pretty well tucked back behind there, behind the engine. There's a third bolt. Let me look from the bottom. I haven't looked from the bottom yet. Alright, so I can't see it from the bottom, but it's going to be... Oh no! There it is, right there. Alright, so there it is from the bottom. I can see that on my camera screen right now, but I don't have a line of sight on it. So let me back the camera and my light back out of the way. I think that might be easier to reach from the bottom, but I'm just going to have to do it by feel though. Alright, got it out. So hopefully that was the last bolt. Like I said, you can't quite see it, but it's right around that corner. Super easy to get to from inside the wheel well. So now that hopefully this is all disconnected, the next step is going to be disconnecting the hoses and lines. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the heater hoses, which I've already got to... Alright, cut that whole section. Alright, so hopefully now that all this is loose, the next thing will be all the lines and hoses. So I'll go ahead and disconnect the heater hoses, which I need to drain it anyways, because as I mentioned earlier, I have to run straight water, and the refrigerant HVAC has already been purged or vacuumed out, so should be good to go ahead and start disconnecting everything else. Okay, so I've got all these AC components here pulled away just far enough. You can see the studs down there. There's one right there. There's another one on the bottom. I think there's 3 of them. I'll find out, but there's one. I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but there's another one down there from the bottom. And that's where a ratcheting wrench is really going to come in handy. If I can... I think it's bigger. Must be a 12. Oh, yep. I grabbed a 10. There's been a lot of 11 millimeter oddball bolts on here. That's one frustrating thing about this truck. Just getting this fender liner out a little bit ago, I had to use 3 different size sockets to get the fender liner out, which, I mean, I guess honestly isn't too unusual. But I swear every bolt I get out is a different size. So I spent half my time just changing out sockets because every bolt I go to is a different size. And it's been a total mix of standard and metric. So also doesn't make it any easier. Alright, so there were 3 studs with nuts on them on the engine side of the firewall. I've got all 3 off. I believe that's all there is. About to give this a pull and hopefully, fingers crossed, it all comes out. It's definitely loose, but it's still not quite coming out. I feel like there's something in this corner holding it. Under the hood again. Alright, I don't see any. I only see the 3 studs with the nuts, and then there's one other stud I still see, but it's this one right down here, and it's disconnected. It's, the nut's off, and it's barely hanging on there, so that's not holding it. That's pretty far over, though. Let me go look under the firewall again, because I don't think I'm looking quite that far over. Alright. Gonna take this stud right here off and see if that is holding anything. Not sure, but I'm gonna pull that off and see if that's actually going all the way through. I doubt it. I mean, the wiper cowl is right there behind it, so I don't think so, and I don't see anything else over there other than that like ground stud way over there, but I don't think that's it. I think that's a little too far over. See, yeah, no, definitely not those. Those are too up high. What is holding this? Clearly, something is still holding this. But looking down this crack up here, I see no bolts and no studs from up here. Nothing down in there. Those 2, I see 2 here, but those are already off on the other side. I see nothing at all holding this. Clearly, something has still got a hold of this. See, this cover should have came off by now too, but something is holding this on still. I just cut my finger, whatever. I got a deep cut for it to not be bleeding. Cuts on your fingers are always weird. Alright. What do I got now? Still nothing. holding this? There it is. Alright, well, I said screw it. I'm taking the pry bar to and I'm prying until this thing pops. Eventually, this plastic housing is going to break wherever this bolt is at. And it did. So, grab the light. There. So, obviously I broke the housing right there. So there's a stud. But, I mean, look at where that's at. That is like dead middle of the firewall. So, I mean, that has got to be way down behind the engine because I have looked and looked and I do not see any more studs. So, even from here, I cannot see a stud anywhere back there, but somewhere smack in the middle of that firewall is a stud because there it is right there. I mean, that's almost dead center, that firewall. So, if you need to get it out and not break it, have fun with that. I almost wonder if, I don't know. Like I said, I just broke it. I said, screw it. So, I don't know how you would get to that if you can't risk breaking it. I don't know if the motor would have to come loose and shift it forward. I don't know if you can get to it from underneath. Not sure, but I didn't have the patience for it tonight. Hopefully this will come out now. Alright, now this is stripped out. This is the point I was wanting to get the truck to, and I'm just going to leave the interior like this. As far as stripping wise, like all this insulation and all, I'm actually going to, I think, just leave that on there. One, it doesn't weigh anything, and two, don't know if it's going to be a noticeable difference or not, but maybe try to keep a little bit of that engine heat out of the cab. I know it's going to be hot enough in this truck during the race as is, so I figure if I keep that, try to at least keep a little bit of the engine heat out of here. So we'll see how well that actually works. Might have to weld up these holes here because once I get that stuff removed on the other side, that's going to leave a big old hole in the firewall. So I'll probably have to have my fab guy weld up some kind of plate just to cover those holes there, I reckon. But at this point, I'm going to try to get some, I think, some zip ties and see if I can zip tie that steering column up to those bolts and then plug up all the wires and crank the truck up to make sure I'm still good to go on that. Make sure I've got all the wires plugged up correctly. Then pull the rest of the AC components out from under the hood and then pull the bed liner out of the truck and hopefully call it a night. Alright, so I'm going to see if this will crank. I think I've got everything plugged up, so we're about to find out. So I've plugged everything up except for this module here. I don't know what this module is, but there's some kind of module here. It was like right about here, kind of in the bottom side of the dashboard, and these are the plugs for it here. I wrapped them in tape so I knew. So these two plugs plug in there. I don't know what module it is, but we're going to see if it will crank without plugging that up. If it don't crank, then I'll plug that up. Oh, gauges are working. All right. Hey! Oh, I hear a puking coolant. Remember, I disconnected the heater hoses already. All right, it cranks. I've got everything wired up. Sweet. Heck yeah. All right, let's see how big of a coolant mess I made. Oh, it missed it completely. Gosh darn it, I was hoping most of it was caught in the pan, but nope, it mostly missed the pan. Of course it did. Golly. So I just got the blower motor and all the other underhood AC components out, and check this out. Look how easy spark plugs are now. Non-AC Ford Ranger, super easy to do spark plugs. Boom, boom, and boom. 1, 2, 3 right there. Now, I haven't looked at the other side. I don't know how easy or difficult the other side is going to be, but at least this side will be super easy to do. And also, you can see the rear valve cover there is like pouring oil, it looks like. So with all this stuff out the way, it looks like the valve cover gasket on this side might not be too hard to do. So I might go ahead and try to replace the valve cover gasket while I'm at it, just to fix that oil leak there and reduce the risk of a fire hazard with all that oil leaking onto the exhaust there. You can see it's piled up down there. It looks like it's just pouring oil from right there. So it gets cleaner up front, so it's just this back corner here. But probably get that fixed. Obviously, like I said earlier, I'll have to weld some kind of plate up to cover those holes up. So it looks like the only thing holding these rails on is a couple self-tappers. And I don't know, I'm just kind of impressed. I mean, these are some sturdy rails. I was just surprised that all it is self-tappers. It'd be like bolted on or something, but nope, just some self-tappers. About to find out when I try to take them out. All right. Yep, it was just self-tappers. All it was. Now I've got one that is stripped or rounded. I couldn't get the socket on it on this side, so I'm gonna have to just try to pop that one. But this side's stuck too. Oh, there's one more screw hidden under glue there. Ugh, dusty. Whew. it's not terrible. Alright, well, not too terrible. Definitely could have been a lot worse. Get out of my way. So, obviously, a bit dirty under there, but not nearly as bad or as rusty as I kind of expected it to be. So, just get the bed of the truck cleaned up before I go take it to get the roll cage. I will run this through the car wash and just pressure wash the bed of the truck out. I'll probably go ahead and sweep out all this loose pine straw. Gonna have some down bars coming from the cage back to here. And I'm thinking about maybe possibly relocating the battery back here. That is allowed. The battery is allowed to be moved, so I might put the battery right back here in the bed of the truck. And then I'll have the down bars, and that's really it. I can't do anything to the floor of the bed of the truck. Like, I'm not allowed to cut out the floor. I'm not allowed to cut out the wheel wells or do anything like that for weight reduction. Obviously, I can cut the holes for the down bars, but that is it. That's the only cutting on the bed I'm allowed to do. Alright, so I didn't do quite as much as I was hoping tonight, but I think I'm going to call it a night right there because it is almost 1 in the morning and I've got to work tomorrow. I did not realize how late it was. But earlier today, I did put together a list. So I've got a list now of everything I've got to do to this truck. Let's check it out. So, completely strip the interior. I can say, I think that's done now. See if seat mount will work with the stock sliders. Well, no, I just did that and it will not work. Find a shorter belt. Put a little dot next to that. I did find a shorter belt that will work without the AC compressor. I have not installed it, so I found one. Just got to install it still. Remove bed liner, done. Oil change, tune up, flush cooling system. Did not get to those tonight. Hopefully that will be tomorrow. Day 4, I can do all that. Route new heater hoses. Obviously, I'm getting rid of the heater core. So now that the heater core is gone, I'm going to have to reroute those heater hoses. Hopefully, I'll do that when I do all this other underhood work. It does need front brakes, so I'm going to have to do that. Mount seat brackets to the seat. That should be pretty easy. Just, I guess I'm going to have to drill some holes in the seat. We already looked at that just a minute ago. Paint the interior. I do want to try to keep it at least somewhat decent looking, so I do plan to kind of just rattle can paint the interior, get it looking nice. It's just going to be all white, like that white race car interior. So I just need to get a couple pans of paint the floor pan, paint the roll cage after it's installed. That's what that is. Bolt steering wheel to the hub. I even listed a bunch of little things like that. Cage has its own list. This is the cage list over here. So cage, obviously I'm going to be outsourcing the cage. Like I said, I'm going to have someone do that. Still, I have got someone in mind who I think is going to do it for me, but I've got to confirm still that he can do it. If not, I've got a few other people who might be able to do it. Test fit the wheels. I'm going to be running a set of Crown Vic wheels on here. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't fit, but I'm going to have to test fit those. Get the tires mounted, paint it, and then all the decals, and truck is done. Now, the cage, like I said, the cage has got its own list, all of its own. So, cage list, well, first and foremost, obviously the roll cage itself, but this is all the fab work that's going to have to be done. So, first and foremost, cage. Seat mount. Seat mount's going to have to be fabbed up. Steering column. Find a way to get the steering column actually mounted and not just hanging from zip ties. The instrument gauge cluster obviously have to be mounted right above it. A sheet metal panel for all the miscellaneous switches. I've got a bunch of switches and a fuse panel and all that hanging down here. I want to do like a little sheet metal panel that I can drill holes in and mount all that stuff nice and neat. So that's going to be my sheet metal panel. Per the rules, the fuel tank has to have an extra strap on it. So I need an extra strap fabbed up on the fuel tank. weld on the quick release adapter. I need to get that stock steering wheel off still and weld that quick release adapter on there. A 1.5 inch bar is allowed in front of the radiator. So just for a little bit extra protection, I am going to do that 1.5 inch bar in front of the radiator. At least that's the plan. Install the window net. So I'm required to run a window net, and I'm going to, again, I need my fab guy to just weld up all the brackets and install kit for the window net. And last but not least, block off plate to the AC holes in the firewall. Now that the AC system is out, I've got all these giant holes over there in the firewall. So all those holes are going to have to be covered up. So just a piece of sheet metal over that and weld it up to block it off. So everything needs to be done all within the next month. It looks like a lot, but I don't think it's quite as much as it looks. I think it's doable. We're going to knock this out. Well, it's a little bit nicer now with the steering wheel and all kind of rigged up, hanging from some zip ties. But now without it laying in my lap, I can get a better idea of what it's going to feel like in this truck, and I'm excited. So honestly, the seat mount obviously needs to go up a little bit, but not terribly much. So just the height of those brackets alone is probably going to put the seat at pretty darn close to the right height that I'm going to need. So the seat mount should be pretty easy. Just get those brackets bolted on. Obviously it's wobbling right now. It's just sitting directly on the floor, so there's nothing underneath it. So those brackets alone will space it up an inch or two, and I think I'll be at the right height. So if you want to keep up with the Danger Ranger build, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Get those notifications anytime I post a video. If you haven't already watched, go back and check out day 1 and 2 video. Today's day 3. Hopefully I'll be out here tomorrow working on this thing some more. Roll cage is supposed to be here any day now. Hopefully tomorrow, actually. I just got a shipping notification this afternoon. It's supposed to be here tomorrow. I'm not going to have this truck ready to go to my fab guy by tomorrow. I still got to get my fab guy lined up, actually. So hopefully I get a confirmation call from him tomorrow. If not, I'm going to be scrambling to find someone else to get the skin thing welded up. But fingers crossed, the cage comes in tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but maybe day after tomorrow, maybe day 5. I'll have this thing completely ready for the roll cage to be installed. So hopefully by the end of the week, I can get this to my fab guy and start getting this cage welded up. But if you want to follow along with this Danger Ranger build, be sure to hit that like and subscribe. Get those notifications every time I post a video. If you haven't already watched day 1 and 2, go check out day 1 and 2 video. Today's video is day 3. And hopefully in the next few days, I'll have day 4 out. But for today's verse of the day, today's verse of the day is actually one I really like. It's one I'm often remind myself of being in law enforcement. Very applicable. Psalms 23 verse 4. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Again, Psalms chapter 23 verse 4. That's one I like to keep posted up in my patrol car as a daily reminder, because obviously in law enforcement we face a lot of evil, and I know no matter what evil I face, none of that can overcome my God. My God's more powerful than any evil I'm going to face out there. And that is one of the things that gets me through the day every day. All right, guys. Till next time, stay safe, stay blessed.